I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
You know, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is, what the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much to try and deal with life.
The whispers began as soon as Terrence Howard opened his mouth. It was supposed to be just another Hollywood interview, a chance for the actor to reflect on his career, share a few anecdotes, maybe plug a project or two. Instead, he dropped a bombshell, a revelation so bizarre and unsettling that it left everyone, from the podcast host to the audience, stunned. Howard, calm yet visibly uneasy, recounted an encounter with Sean Diddy Combs that was as cryptic as it was unnerving. Puffy, as he was often called, had invited Howard over, ostensibly to discuss acting. But what followed was not a conversation about the craft of performance. Instead, it was long, silent stares, an almost predatory stillness that Howard couldn't quite shake off. It was weird, uncomfortable, and, according to Howard, unambiguously intentional.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying.
When the actor confided in his assistant afterward, the interpretation came bluntly, "I think he's trying to take things somewhere they shouldn't go." That single statement transformed what might have been dismissed as mere eccentricity into something much darker. Howard didn't mince words about his reaction. He was a real man. He said someone who didn't compromise his integrity or his boundaries for anyone, not even one of the most influential figures in entertainment. But standing firm came with a price, and Howard would soon discover just how high that price could be.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me.
Within hours of the podcast going live, social media erupted. Clips of Howard's statement circulated with captions like "Terrence Howard exposes Diddy" and "Hollywood's dark side revealed." It was the kind of viral moment that promises to shake the industry to its core, or so it seemed. But behind the scenes, the mood wasn't one of revelation. It was one of fear. Friends and family of Howard began receiving ominous messages, anonymous calls, strange cars parked outside their homes, cryptic emails that hinted at consequences if Howard didn't retract his story. It wasn't just Hollywood gossip anymore. It was personal. It was threatening, and it was escalating.
Hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music, so I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
Howard's family, understandably shaken, begged him to lay low, to issue some kind of vague apology or clarification to defuse the situation. But Howard, ever the defiant figure, refused. "When you approach a real man about his masculinity," he had said during the podcast, "you're going to get a real reaction back." The implication was clear. He wasn't backing down. Yet even as he stood his ground publicly, privately, he began to retreat. He stopped attending events, canceled public appearances, and reportedly changed his phone number multiple times. People close to him started to wonder, was he protecting himself or was he being silenced?
Now you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
And then just like that, he was gone. No announcement, no explanation. One day, Terrence Howard simply vanished from the public eye. Calls went unanswered, emails bounced back. His social media accounts, once lively and engaging, fell silent. Rumors flew in every direction. Some said he'd gone into hiding, fearing for his life. Others whispered that he'd been taken, by whom they wouldn't say or perhaps didn't know. The most chilling theory, though, was that he had been forced to disappear, his silence purchased or coerced by forces far beyond his control.
Have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
But why? What was it about his story that warranted such extreme measures? The answer, many believed, lay in the murky world of Sean Combs' infamous gatherings. For years, whispers had circulated about what really happened at those lavish, exclusive parties. On the surface, they were the stuff of celebrity fantasy, glamorous, star-studded events where the music never stopped. But attendees who dared to speak out painted a far more unsettling picture. They described a world where power dynamics were exploited, where boundaries were blurred, and where every moment seemed designed to create leverage. Cameras were reportedly everywhere, capturing interactions that could later be used as collateral. He collects secrets, one insider said, and once he has them, he owns you. It was this alleged arsenal of incriminating material that made Diddy untouchable. Or so the rumor went. Celebrities who attended his gatherings often found themselves trapped in a web of favors and obligations. Want that embarrassing footage to stay buried? Better play nice. Need your name kept out of the tabloids. Don't cross him. The implications were staggering. If even half the rumors were true, Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was a puppeteer pulling strings that reached deep into Hollywood's elite.
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties. He was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
And then there were the auctions. Quiet, secretive affairs where it was said the most sensitive footage was sold back to its unwitting stars or to the highest bidder. The sums involved were reportedly astronomical, but for those desperate to protect their reputations, no price was too high. Whether these auctions were real or simply an urban legend, they added another layer of intrigue and fear to the already unsettling narrative surrounding Diddy's empire. Terrence Howard's disappearance, then, wasn't just about his own story. It was a warning, a chilling reminder of what could happen to anyone who dared to challenge the status quo. And while the actor's fate remained a mystery, one thing was clear: he had poked a sleeping giant, and the consequences were unfolding in real time.
We know he filmed people, for sure, on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures. And entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein himself?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so there's other theories that he's in Lebanon. He never died at all. That having the weight of owning those films right now.
But was Diddy truly the mastermind, or was he just one piece of a much larger puzzle? Some began to speculate that Howard's revelations had angered someone even more powerful, someone operating behind the scenes. After all, Diddy's parties weren't just attended by entertainers. Politicians, business tycoons, even foreign dignitaries were said to have been among the guests. The potential for scandal and leverage was almost unfathomable. And if Howard had inadvertently pulled back the curtain on this shadowy world, it wasn't just Diddy he had to fear. It was everyone with something to lose.
Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart. Super business, he's very successful.
The tension was palpable, the questions endless. Where was Terrence Howard? What did he know? And most importantly, who wanted him silenced? The answers seemed just out of reach, obscured by layers of secrecy and deception. But one thing was certain: this was only the beginning. The deeper you dug, the darker the story became. And the more you uncovered, the more you realized no one was safe. And if you thought what we've uncovered so far was disturbing, buckle up, because this story is about to veer into truly sinister territory. Terrence Howard may have been the latest name to vanish into the shadows, but Sean Diddy Combs isn't new to controversy. Far from it. His past is littered with allegations, lawsuits, and whispered rumors so dark they could make even the most seasoned Hollywood insider shiver. Terrence's disappearance is just the tip of an iceberg that's been growing for decades. And it's not just about parties or blackmail tapes. No, this goes much deeper, into a history of intimidation, power plays, and unresolved mysteries that have left a trail of chaos in their wake.
He had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge, iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
Who's getting the money, though?
Let's start with the pattern. For years, Diddy has been accused of wielding his influence like a weapon, using fear and secrecy as his currency. While the music mogul has always maintained his innocence, the allegations paint a very different picture. From lawsuits to out-of-court settlements, the stories are disturbingly consistent. People who cross him, whether in business or in their personal lives, seem to face consequences that go far beyond what anyone might call normal. And it's not just former employees or estranged acquaintances making these claims. It's people from the highest echelons of the entertainment industry, people with their own power and resources, who've reportedly been too terrified to go on record.
Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still You know, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them.
Take Justin Bieber, for instance. A kid, when Diddy first took him under his wing, Bieber was at the height of his teenage fame when he started spending time with the mogul. On the surface, it looked like a mentor-protege relationship, the kind of big brother dynamic that celebrities often cultivate for the cameras. But in a resurfaced clip from a late-night interview, Diddy makes a chilling comment. He knows better than to talk about the things he does with Big Brother Puff. The audience laughs, Bieber chuckles nervously, and the conversation moves on. But in light of everything we now know, that single sentence takes on a much darker tone. What exactly was Bieber not supposed to talk about? And why did Diddy feel the need to say it on national television as if to remind him and the world that silence was expected?
It was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do.
And the unease doesn't stop there. Industry insiders have long whispered about the lengths to which Diddy allegedly goes to maintain control over those in his orbit. The word control is key here. Whether it's through financial incentives, threats of litigation, or the ever-present specter of those rumored tapes, Diddy's ability to keep people quiet has been a recurring theme in almost every story about him. And yet, even with all his power, some cracks have started to appear. One of the biggest came in the form of Kim Porter's untimely passing, a tragedy that shook Hollywood but also raised more questions than answers. Porter, a former model and Diddy's longtime partner, was known as much for her beauty as for her strength. She was the mother of his children, a woman who seemed to endure more than anyone should in the name of love and family. But behind the glamorous facade, there were whispers of turmoil. Friends reportedly said she confided in them about her fears, about feeling trapped in a relationship that was anything but equal. And then there were the allegations of a diary, an alleged record of her experiences that, if it exists, remains hidden to this day. Was she documenting something she feared would one day come to light? Or was it simply a cathartic exercise, a way to cope with the pressures of being tied to one of the most powerful figures in entertainment?
Right. Well, Kim Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children.
Right.
Has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands.
Oh, no.
And this is all in a memoir.
And let's not forget the rumors surrounding her final days. Those close to her have raised questions about the circumstances, about whether she was silenced before she could reveal something that might have been too damaging for certain people to handle. While authorities have ruled out anything suspicious, the speculation remains, fueled by the sheer number of voices that insist something is being covered up. Add to that the fact that some of Porter's closest confidants have since come forward with cryptic statements, suggesting they know more than they're willing to say outright, and you're left with a cloud of mystery that refuses to dissipate.
The thing that happened is Tupac's family is reportedly deciding to investigate the rumors that Diddy was involved in Tupac's.
Then there's the saga of Shakur, a name that looms large in hip-hop history not just for his music, but for the controversy surrounding his demise. For years, Diddy has been linked, indirectly and otherwise, to the events that led to that fateful night in Las Vegas. While no concrete evidence has ever surfaced implicating him, the allegations are persistent. They trace back to a rivalry that consumed the rap world in the 1990s, a time when tensions between the East and West Coasts were at an all-time high. One of the most damning accounts comes from Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a man who claims to have been in the car the night Shakur was fatally injured. According to Davis, Diddy allegedly expressed a desire to see both Shakur and Suge Knight handled. The implication was clear. This wasn't just about music or competition. It was about eliminating threats, about making sure that Diddy's empire remained untouchable. Davis has since backtracked on some of his claims, but the damage was done. The mere suggestion that Diddy could have been involved was enough to reignite debates about his role in hip-hop's most infamous tragedy.
The only man currently facing charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
But it wasn't just hearsay that connected Diddy to the events surrounding Shakur's shooting. Investigators have long pointed to a tangled web of gang affiliations, business rivalries, and personal vendettas that culminated in one of the most shocking moments in music history. At the center of it all was the Southside Crips, a gang with deep ties to both the streets and the entertainment world. According to court filings, it was members of this crew who carried out the drive-by that night in Las Vegas, and their motivation, allegedly, a promise of a hefty payout. Davis himself has claimed that Diddy offered a staggering sum to take care of both Shakur and Suge Knight, a deal reportedly brokered through a mutual contact. While Diddy has flatly denied these accusations, the paper trail, thin as it may be, continues to spark questions about his possible involvement in orchestrating the chaos
Right now, Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his murder trial, which he has pleaded not guilty for.
Then there's the matter of Zip, the man who allegedly acted as the middleman in this grim transaction. Eric Zip Martin, a longtime associate of Diddy, was reportedly present during key conversations that set the wheels in motion. Davis has stated in interviews that it was Zip who supplied the weapon used in the attack, a claim that adds yet another layer of intrigue to an already convoluted narrative. What makes this even murkier is the fact that Zip himself is no longer around to corroborate or refute these claims, leaving his role shrouded in mystery. Was he simply a convenient scapegoat, or was he an essential link in a chain of events far more calculated than the public ever realized?
You know what I'm saying? Just with this Cassie thing, I didn't know her, but I knew somebody like her, and that was Kim Porter. I didn't know Cassie, but I knew somebody who was going through the same thing she was going through, and that was Kim Porter.
The timeline of events leading up to the shooting is another piece of the puzzle that raises eyebrows. Earlier that evening, Shakur and Sujay were involved in a high-profile altercation at the MGM Grand Hotel, an incident caught on surveillance cameras and widely reported at the time. Shakur was seen attacking Orlando Anderson, a member of the Southside Crips, in what appeared to be retaliation for a previous run-in. This public confrontation, many believe, set the stage for what happened later that night. But here's where it gets interesting. Davis has suggested that the ambush wasn't just about gang retaliation, it was a calculated move, allegedly greenlit by Diddy, to eliminate two of his biggest threats in one fell swoop. If true, it paints a chilling picture of a man willing to go unimaginable lengths to protect his empire. And let's not forget the aftermath. In the days following Shakur's passing, rumors swirled that Diddy was in a state of paranoia, reportedly asking those close to him whether they knew who was behind it. Davis has claimed that Diddy even approached him directly, seeking confirmation that the Southside Crips had carried out the act as planned. If this exchange did occur, it raises serious questions about what Diddy knew and when he knew it. Was this a case of a man trying to cover his tracks, or was he genuinely unaware of the full extent of what had unfolded? The ambiguity only adds to the layers of suspicion and leaves a trail of questions that, decades later, remain unanswered.
Because Kim had took the cork, you know where you open up wine? The corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligaments, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery, or either scratched it or cut it a little bit, because he just kept bleeding.
And yet, for all the allegations, Diddy has managed to avoid any serious legal consequences. How? That's the million-dollar question. Some point to his connections to the web of influence he's built over decades. Others suggest that his rumored collection of incriminating material, those infamous tapes, might have played a role in keeping certain people silent. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. A man who seems to operate above the law, untouchable in a way that few others can claim to be. But even the most carefully constructed empires have their weak points, and it seems like Diddy's might finally be showing. The disappearance of Terrence Howard, the resurfacing of old footage, the renewed interest in past allegations, it's all adding up to a narrative that's becoming harder to ignore. And with every new revelation, the pressure mounts. How many more secrets are out there waiting to be uncovered? And who else might be at risk for speaking out? So what's your take? Are we looking at a man who's simply misunderstood, or is there a much darker story hiding in plain sight? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and trust us, this isn't over. Stay tuned, because the next chapter in this saga could change everything.